No, I was just because some people at home don't watch ball
Great,
sports,
thanks.
like with the balls.
Thanks, Manny.
Yeah,
Thanks. Anyway, Rumble going to be taken away from G2. So, okay, we got to talk about this. I was under the impression that they now played this champ.
Rumble?
Yeah.
It's quite possible they do.
Oh, really?
But just not here.
On
right,
blue side, they ban it first thing.
What did they ban in game one? Gwen,
Rumble,
and
Rumble,
Aurora.
Yeah.
There's an argument that Broken Blade just wants to play tank tops.
Sure.
Or Broken Blade just isn't comfortable right now. And so they're banning away all the really strong non-tank top laners.
I mean, I think that this is just going to be a conversation that continues to come up throughout the year, which is that G2's priority around Rumble, if they are constantly forced to ban it, especially if it's on both sides of the rift, I think that will be a problem for them. Now, of course, it's only the first week of the regular season, so I'll just put a pin in that. Instead, let's focus on the rest of the bans as Aurora going to be taken away. Yone going to be joined alongside it. The Maokai and the Varus going to stay banned on the side of Heretics. Yone being taken away is pretty interesting. I wonder what that suggests for caps.
So it could be a cap suggestion. It could also be G2 trying to get rid of an AD mid laner, expecting Heretics to go AP top if they're not going to first pick the Gwen. There's the Trundle ban away again by Heretics. So do G2 first pick Gwen here? Is a question that immediately springs into my mind. Very strong top laner right now. If they don't, do Heretics pick it and find a different AD mid laner? Or do Heretics go double AP top mid? Well, it's Orianna.
Blind Orianna, first rotation.
Definitely one of the stronger mid laners right now.
Because now you open up for things like a potential Jarvan for Heretics.
Yeah.
There's always the possibility that it comes through on the other side as well. I think Viktor is a completely fine response. Control Mage. There's a lot of junglers you can pair that up with. I am surprised by this blind Orianna just because of how many things, like Zhao is perfectly fine into it as well. Once you lose that flash, this Orianna becomes very susceptible to ganks. But now I wonder what they'll pair alongside it. Are they considering the Jarvan themselves? With the Wukong already taken out, do they perhaps want to go for the Pantheon as a possibility?
Orianna Nocturne. It's G2.
Also true.
It's G2. We have seen it happen in the past. Crack it out.
It's a good combination.
Didn't work at the time, but now, 2 years later, Vedi, perhaps it will be effective. Jax, it's a second pick for G2, so locking in a likely top laner for Broken Blade. We have seen it played in the jungle. Can, of course, be flexed.
But it's also just, because Gwen is open, there's the chance that if Carlsen wants to pick it, they've already got a good matchup into it. And it's also one of Broken Blade's best champions. I think this year, he may have only lost one game on it domestically.
Just keep talking and I'll find out for you, man.
I know that he's got a very high win rate on the champion, at the very least this year specifically.
81.8% over 11 games. Can you do that maths?
81.8%.
If it's 12 games,
like
it's like 8.5. I think he's lost 2. Yeah.
In any case, Pantheon is going to be the champion alongside it. So a few side lane options for G2 with the Orianna kind of bringing their team fight together. Heretics heading in the direction of a little bit more skirmishing. The Gragas, though, going to provide a little bit more disengage with this composition. Really good, again, into things like the Orianna. Low mobility champions really struggle against Gragas just because of his setup potential when paired up alongside the Zhao. Heretics have a lot of great disengage tools and zone control thanks to both the Viktor and the Gragas that'll come through in this mid-game when contesting objectives.
Gragas also just nice into the Jax. The ability 100%. To body slam him away, explosive cask as well if he does get on towards your backline. You can see Heretics getting rid of some of the engaged supports, big AoE ultimates like that Nico, so powerful in the hands of Labrov. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Rel ban here as well, just because that is where he tends to like to play. Thresh, the first ban from G2. I think last time we saw a Rakan ban from Heretics as well. We'll see where they decide to go. But and my expectation is that, it was Rakan, Rel. I think G2 banned the Nico last game.
And Thresh,
So we could actually just see the same bans switched around a little bit on the second phase from these two teams.
We're about to find out.
Nautilus
is the shift up. I wonder if they were concerned about a Kai'Sa Nautilus coming out from G2.
I mean, also, because you banned the Thresh, Nautilus is nice into the Thresh, but getting rid of it just to make sure that if someone bans Thresh, often they want to go towards the Nautilus. So we'll see. As you say, Kai'Sa Nautilus is a threat with the dive potential of a Pantheon, with the Orianna Shockwave there.
I feel like Rel is the prime support now, though.
I'd agree with that.
Might be something that Heretics just looks to grab for themselves.
Jhin taken away from Flakked. It would be a nice Jhin comp. It's like long range, relatively squishy opposition. Your ability just to stand back and start with a curtain call and then see where the fight goes from there can be quite nice. Heretics looking towards their support first, saving AD carry for last, which is interesting to me. We don't often talk about AD carry counter picks, but we do often talk about support counter picks. So obviously they're just valuing that Rakan.
I guess that they really wanted the, like, because Zhao is now an option, right?
Yeah.
So G2 has to be quite mindful because that's likely the direction, especially with the amount of dive that G2 already has. The Zhao just would make sense for Heretics, giving Flakked a little bit more agency. So does Hans want to take it away?
What would you go support-wise alongside it? Zaya, Rel?
Well, to me, yeah, like Rel. Ooh.
Caitlyn Karma could be nice here.
Their engage would be a little bit limited, though.
Their engage would be limited. I definitely agree with you there. You could just go Caitlyn support.
You could do Caitlyn Blitz.
Engage support, you know? Blitz into Rakan can really struggle. I also think you don't want to hook a Gragas. You kind of want to hook the Viktor. And if it's a Zaya alongside the Rakan, that's quite hard.
Also fine.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm just kind of saying support.
Yeah, we're just saying, but like, we've kind of moved perhaps away from
Bard is also
engage.
good.
Yeah,
well,
Bard for Labrov. There we go. So pseudo engage can do a lot of work with the Temper Fate.
I treat Bard as an engage champion.
Okay.
Especially after seeing how it's been used around the world this year specifically. I feel like teams have just gotten really good at understanding the value of Bard. His roaming power is naturally the easiest thing to lean towards, but his ulti against low mobility champ, I don't like MF into Bard.
Yeah, I was about to say exactly
I was about to say low mobility champions, I think, are exactly what Bard wants. And so, like, Viktor, I think, can really be punished when Zhao also, he doesn't really have any innate dashes or anything to get out of it. And so there's lots of things, especially you think about Dragons or Barons, that Xin is in the pit, really easy to punish him in a situation like that. But specifically AD carries that don't have dashes, I was about to list MF as an example, and then they lock MF. Every time she tries to ult, Labrov can just be like, nope.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I am a little bit surprised. It does give them some good teamfight value, but also I think, like, Gragas ultimate, Zhao ultimate, these are two things that just spread everyone out. And so to then want an MF in a situation like that does surprise me.
I 100% agree with you. I think it does work okay with the Rakan with the quickness because he wants to group everyone up, but it is going to be tricky for Flakked to play that Misfortune. Bard also nice into the Rakan because if you Cosmic Binding or use your Q, as the plebeians say it, on the MF when the Rakan is dashing on towards you. If the Rakan dashes back, you just get a double stun. It's a nice, easy double stun, quite easy to lock him down in that sort of situations. Obviously, good Rakans will play around that, wait for you to use the binding, but there's also the risk of him dashing back and just getting caught on a minion on the way. We do have a pause getting into the game. I assume just a couple of settings that need to be changed around. It is Unsealed Spell for both of our supports, press the attack for both our AD carries. Nothing too surprising. Grasp on the Jax and Arcane Comet on the Gragas.
Phase Rush is very smart for Orianna players that realize that they might be in some danger. Usually when you're playing as a jungler that you're not too scared of, you can run more aggressive runes. But when a Zhao is diving on top of you, if you don't have flash, Phase Rush is your next best defensive tool to get you out of that situation. It also just against champions like Viktor can be pretty effective. Just because that extra bonus movement speed can be super, super valuable. In any case, we'll see how things pan out, and once we have more information, we will, of course, give you more information. But right now...
Yeah, we don't quite have information yet. I've been told we'll be told as soon as possible. We may have to just poke and prod at a couple of things to make sure everything is in the right spot for us to get on into this game. For Heretics, it's a game where they really need to bounce back. They lost game 1 against Fnatic last week, were able to bounce back in game 2 in pretty convincing fashion. I think this game was more one-sided than their game 1 of the Fnatic series.
Well, so my feeling of the game was like, I wanted to talk about Heretics, but it just felt like they weren't doing anything.
Yeah.
And so then I kind of reviewed it in my mind, and I realized that SkewMond and Labrov just made it impossible for him to do anything.
For Sheo specifically,
For Sheo, exactly. And when we talk a lot about Heretics, we talk about Sheo being the guy that things happen around.
He's the engine.
Exactly. And so if you successfully put him behind, you can see how much they end up losing as a result. So it's it was a tricky one for them to navigate. And on top of that, like, there was just a lot of picks that were happening in the early game as well, which made it even harder for Heretics. Like Stend specifically, he got caught around the bottom dragon, and then he also got caught again around the topside Herald. And you mentioned it, but those picks really accelerated Hans, because Hans got the bot lane tower, and then he moved to top, and with the Herald, they secured another tower. So it's, it was a tough one.
We do have a slight issue on stage right now. We are remaking the lobby due to a client bug, which resulted in incorrect runes for one of the players. It has officially been called a bug. It was not just accidentally picking the wrong runes or anything, so fingers crossed, obviously we'll get through that draft as soon as possible and get into the second game of the series, because we still have more League of Legends after this. If G2 are able to pick up the win, we then move into our second series of the day, where we get to see MCoy take the stage for the first time here in the Summer Split.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, it should be good against Giant X as well, who last week did look promising. You know, had a few foibles, had a few mistakes here and there, but I think overall, compared to where they were at the end of spring, even in winter, it was a drastic improvement for them as a squad.
For sure, and you've got GX on the other hand.
That's who I was talking about.
Sorry. In my head, you were talking about Koi, because I had someone in my ear.
Yep, no worries. That's why I corrected you, because I understand sometimes you just can't listen to me.
It's true. Yeah, because getting back into the lobby, everyone's just getting back.
I did also say that.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I was. Thank you for filling while I was triaging.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I have now ruined it all by revealing the illusion.
I don't think that's ruining it. I think not enough people know that you don't listen to me, and we should tell more people that.
I was talking to a producer.
I also talked to a producer. I said the thing. I was listening to you that whole time. You didn't say a single word.
Would you like to know what I was talking to them about?
Hit me. What was it? Was it the password to the lobby?
The password to the lobby was
Interesting
wrong.
how I know that, Vedi.
No, I knew the password and they've changed the password.
Well, that's kind of rude of them.
Yes, exactly. And so I had to
just
figure
trying
out.
To lock you out forever?
No.
No?
I think that someone pressed the button that they shouldn't have pressed.
That does make sense. Remember the good old days when you watched League, someone had to load in as a Teemo and just stand in the base with...
That's really old.
Yeah, that's like original League of Legends esports. Instead of having a spectator client, what you would do is you'd have 6 players per team, and there would be a Teemo on either team with a special summoner spell. It wasn't old clairvoyance, it was a super clairvoyance that revealed the whole map for
The thing is, that's not how I spectate, because back in Season 1 is when I started playing, but Season 2 is only when I started actually grinding ranked and stuff. So...
I mean, but I watched games that I did like go
Yeah, I didn't really. The only things I watched in Season 2 was CLG EU and Worlds.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was that the Snoopy, Froggen, Crepo,
Wicked, and Yellow P.
Yellow P, yes.
Yeah, and they also played the longest game in history.
Yes, Snoopy's Choga.
It was the WE quarterfinals at that Worlds. And Riot gave everyone pizza, and it was because the servers kept disconnecting.
Yeah, there were internet issues that caused everything to disconnect.
It was a DDoSing or something,
You guys do not know the pain of watching early League of Legends. Some of you probably do.
Some of you
And
might.
as soon as I say the words bubble pop, you are instantly transformed. Your brain goes to a special place.
I know that reference.
Of 8 hours of listening to bubble, 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 pop, bubble, bubble, pop, pop.
Yep.
And the fact I can still remember it.
I still remember it. Yeah.
8 years
it's
later.
funny. It's hilarious that you mentioned the word and immediately like flashbacks in my brain. Yeah.
I think it was IPL. Was it IPL 5? IPL 4? One of those. Oh, the good old days. But yeah, there was also, I remember a game having
the
to
good old days. The game was just objectively worse.
Yeah, but
like,
nostalgia is a rose-tinted magnifying
glass,
Betty.
People think, like, oh, the good old days. Back then, Sion, he would run up to you, stun you for 40% of your HP. You were stunned for 2.5 seconds. He would then pop his shield, and he would kill you.
Point and click stun. So he didn't even have to aim it.
He would throw DFG at you. You would be stunned. His shield would explode, and you would die.
Yeah.
And he was impossible to kill in lane because the more AP he built, the bigger his shield got.
So you played against a lot of mid lane Sions.
Yeah.
I played a lot of jungle Sion, where I just built attack speed.
No, I remember that too.
Madred's Blood Razor,
yes, I remember that too.
And you're just swinging your axe like some sort of weird frontal helicopter.
Yeah, I mean, also, people think champs that come out now are broken. When Zhao came out originally, like, he was broken.
Yeah, you just couldn't kill it. He would just kill you.
Like, he was just...
When Hecarim came out, we couldn't play League of Legends for 3 weeks because the EU servers blew up. You just like the game just didn't exist.
Nocturne's ulti, I think initially was just global.
Yeah.
Like,
Twisted Fate.
Twisted Fate.
Yeah,
It was a
his ult was
global.
on an E.
You could just go anywhere.
And it was a normal skill. It wasn't even his ultimate.
Wait, it wasn't?
No, it was his E.
Oh.
Like the original, I'm pretty sure the original Twisted Fate is always his E. Anyway, that's enough of us going down memory lane. I see the players loading into the game. Remember 5 Sunfire Capes?
Evelyn?
Yes.
She was actually invisible, yes.
Oh, and Oracle's. Oracle's Elixir. When as a support you build 2 gold for 5 items, 20 wards, because you could get as many as you wanted.
Anyone that says,
Oracle's
that's
Elixir.
what I mean. When people call these champs broken, I'm like, you don't know what it was like, okay?
Yeah. Let's get into good modern day League of Legends with no bugs and no problems. I say after there was a bug in the lobby.
All right. Game 2. Heretics looking to bring us to a game 3. We raised some question marks about picking the MF into the Bard. We'll see how it performs. In terms of the lane, there aren't that many great champs into Caitlyn. She's a very oppressive laner, especially when you pair her up with a ranged support. Level 1, G2's looking to get a bit of early information.
Keeping track of Sheo. That's what they did so well in game 1. It does look like Hans Sommer's gone lethal tempo, not press the attack, which is what he loaded into the first game with. So that is probably the mistake with the runes. Yeah,
that does explain it.
We'll see how much roaming happens from this Bard and this Rakan. Unsealed Spellbook really unleashes them on the map. So powerful, stealing away that teleport. Well, I say stealing, picking it out of your spellbook and then running around. Thankfully, they don't take as much time to pick their spells as you did when we played Baldur's Gate 3.
You know what I will say? I feel like supports are one of the few roles in the game that have actually had summon a spell variety throughout their existence in the game. AD carries would be a close second.
So, heal, ignite, exhaust are the 3 I think of with support.
They've ran barrier. I guess they never did run barrier.
When we had the AD carry support meta, a few of them ran Ghost. So you'd run like Ashe support with Ghost. But I would say those are the 3. I think teleport really skews that statistic on a pro level.
100%.
Because if you're a mid laner or a top laner, 8 times out of 10 you're taking teleport.
It's true.
Kamiloo is going to trade onto Caps here.
Nice trade.
Yeah, hit the level 2 first using that Arcane Ray really effectively. Caps now ticks over to 2 as well, but he's half HP. Oh, Kamiloo is full HP. Kamiloo hasn't had the best of laning phases so far in Summer Split. Was beaten down pretty handily by Poby last week. Now, finally trying to turn the tables on Caps, at least in the first 2.5 minutes of this game.
Well, I mean, Viktor can be a very oppressive laner, especially when you run that area rune. You can just see the chip damage continuing to come through. The E is it's a very difficult skill to play around. It does have a very long cooldown, especially in the early laning phase. But once it gets upgraded, you have all that extra wave clear. And the other thing is, using your Q, getting that shield, just makes it harder for them to trade back. You always have that just health advantage coming through in favor of the Viktor. In terms of the CS advantage, you can see he's building a decent one, but on the top side of the map, it is Broken Blade that actually gets that push with Hans and Labrov doing the same thing on the bot side of the map. Jungle pathing, both actually copying one another as they both path towards the bot side, and I do think that makes a lot of sense because in Sheo's mind, he's wary of a potential dive that could come through, whereas in SkewMond's mind, he's like, I need to protect my pushing bot lane that are setting their sights on just wanting to hit the tower, hit the opponents who are very susceptible to a gank.
Now, risk for Sheo as well is if Labrov just wants to move up here with SkewMond, that's a 2v1 on a Scuttle Crab, and Sheo doesn't have the most ways of getting out of that sort of situation. You saw an early ward coming out from Stend just across the wall here. He's now going to try and jump onto SkewMond, but SkewMond is just able to jump away. Hans Sommer the first to move out of the 280 carries, but Kamiloo moves first out of the mid laners. Labrov with a magical journey will get SkewMond and himself out, and it was SkewMond who secured the crab.
This means that SkewMond will be able to get an earlier base, get back out onto the map quicker, while Sheo has to spend that bit of extra time rotating up towards the top crab. So he's going to be a little bit behind on tempo. This will give SkewMond that window to try and make a play happen if he wants to. Instead, he can just prioritize his farm, which is also a completely fine decision. Most importantly for SkewMond is that his bot lane is still safe. You can already see that Hans has been able to build about a wave of a lead for the time being. Don't be surprised to see them go back to base relatively soon. Meanwhile, in mid, we can see Kamiloo building a bit of a lead of his own, as we kind of expect in the matchup.
Yeah, we actually see exactly what you were just talking about exemplified on the scorecard here. They're both on their second clears, both of these junglers. Sheo's having to do it without the extra gold invested in those items, without the extra longsword, without the extra ruby crystal, because he was already on the top side of the map. If he then recalled, he'd be running back out 8 seconds later. It's just a massive time loss for him to not go straight to his Krugs and his Razor Beaks.
Exactly. I think that's a great spot because it is a good adaptation on his part to just get through those camps as quickly as you can, because as you rightly said, the quicker those things are cleared, the quicker they respawn.
And they respawn at higher level.
Exactly. Of course, he is going to have to base at some point, which is the advantage that SkewMond has gained for himself.
And so from that advantage, if you're G2, are you thinking, we could just do a Drake?
Well, they don't actually have knowledge yet that Sheo is continuing to clear through his jungle camps
That is very
yet.
true.
So SkewMond, though, using that advantage, he sets his sights in the mid lane.
Kamiloo here does hit the level 6, trading onto Caps, who's still half a level away. Kamiloo trying to flash away. Arcane Storm down onto Caps. The shield will be enough to keep him alive. SkewMond gets the first blood, and G2 are on the board once again.
Nice play from SkewMond. He sees an overextended mid laner. He knows that Kamiloo doesn't really have many places that he can go. The TP already invested as well means that he's just going to lose a wave, and there's very little that Sheo can do to respond. He will be able to clear these camps and get his base off at long last, but the damage has already been done. SkewMond draws first blood and makes his presence known on the map.
It's all about playing around those windows that you get. And G2 did it well there. Kamiloo, you could argue, overextending a little bit, knowing that his jungler was the weaker of the two. If it was a 2v2, yes, he was level 6 first, but is that enough to win out on a skirmish? Broken Blade and Carlsen trading with each other on the top side. Carlsen doing a good job of equalizing the CS discrepancy that had happened earlier and actually getting a little bit of a lead for himself. Broken Blade, you can see, a bit tentative about stepping up into the Gragas. There is kill threat here, and also you don't know where the enemy bot laner is. Hasn't shown up on that wave at all, so is just sneaking in here. Flakked looking for Broken Blade, who uses the Counter-Strike and then very quickly sidesteps backwards to make sure he's out of range of the explosive cast.
So a lot of respect being shown by Broken Blade. He aptly recognizes the threat, and he's able to get away to safety. He is at risk of a dive. He does need to be careful as Sheo hovering around the top side of the map with Stend. Very low Broken Blade in top lane. But it looks like Sheo deciding against it as he moves back into his jungle, looking to continue his clear.
A couple of interesting decisions there. Because the Caitlyn wasn't showing on the map, Labrov had already moved out, Heretics could have looked to steal away the blue or the Gomp. They could have gone for it. They had a numbers advantage at the time, but they didn't have awareness of where Summer and Labrov really were. So they decide to back away. They call off the dive. They call off the play towards that blue side jungle, and G2 happily will just accept moving their top laner back down towards bot, moving Summer up into top, and trying to answer this MF and this Rakan. We'll see if Flakked opens top again. He will, so it's just going to be an accepted 2v2.
I honestly thought that he would have considered just going straight back to bot again.
That's what I was thinking.
They've got the wave pushed in. They can catch with the Gragas. They could then convert that over towards the Dragon advantage. But instead, they're looking to keep the match going on the top side of the map.
Also trying to play around the grubs as a possibility, especially against something like a Caitlyn and a Sjokz that with some time on a tower will just rip through it, making sure that G2 don't have free access to 3 grubs and get those Void Mites. Could be in the possibility of what they're thinking about. TP coming out. That's Labrov joining up. We already talked about the unsealed spellbook power. He's going to take half his health, though, from an Arcane Storm. Rips above his forehead, and G2 now just catching the wave a little deeper. Heretics will use this time to get vision control around the grubs. There's a ward at the back of their red buff that Broken Blade could teleport to if he had a teleport available, which he does not at the moment. Carlsen's will be back up first, so G2 need to be cautious about taking a full-on 4v4.
Level 6 on support is always something worth tracking. You'll notice that Labrov is very close to it, sticking in this mid lane to make sure that he's getting some experience. As both teams just kind of fight for the mid-wave control. The grubs are, of course, alive, and Summer pushing Flakked back to get that push in the top lane, but the Pantheon ultimate, it is available, and it's going to be invested in top lane.
Starfall onto Flakked, doesn't have cleanse. You can flash, but you can't escape the shield. SkewMond with his second of the game, looking to try and get Pantheon's first win here in the LEC in summer. Currently 0-5. SkewMond unable to play in week 1 because G2 didn't play in week 1 now. Trying to set that statistic to rights. Heretics did a good job of stealing away one of those grubs to make sure it's not a full 3-2 G2. Sheo goes in. Rakan on his way across, not yet level 6, but Sheo's just winning the 2v1 right now. Now stunned up. Labrov looking at the stun, can't land it. Heal coming out from Stend to try and pop up Sheo. Does have the flash and can dash out at the back of the pit. Crescent guard down, he flashes. He was hoping that Grub would go down below the 900 mark as Labrov's trading onto Kamiloo, and the flash forward from Caps is enough. Bullet time won't take out anyone from G2, who are now 3-0, got 2 grubs, and have that feat of warfare.
I can't say I really understand what the plan was from Sheo once he went back in the pit. I guess his logic is that maybe one of the grubs is low enough that I can just smite, steal it, and get out. But once he was in the pit, it just felt like they didn't really have a plan anymore. The rest of the team was just forced into an awkward fight, and then G2 just picked them apart. That overforce, I think, cost them a lot. And the consequences of that is first item now finished for the Caitlyn. Caps has been able to TP back into the lane with his components getting very close to that Rod of Ages. And now I think G2's in a good spot to be ready to contest the Dragon as well. Heretics could have been using this time to just clear through the jungle, get a quick reset off, replenish their vision, then set up around the Dragon if that's the next objective that they want to play for, or even threaten a cross map. But instead, they kind of wasted their time. They've given G2 the opportunity to go back to base first, and now they're back out onto the map already with stronger randomization. Sundered
Sky already complete for SkewMond. He is having an absolute whale of a time in the early game over the last 2 games. Game 1, 800 gold ahead at 14 minutes as a jungler. Had a 30 CS lead as a jungler in the early game in Game 1. Here, equal on CS, but has been involved in 2 of his team's 3 kills. Picked up first blood, picked up second blood, picked up 2 grubs. Now is looking not to pick up a penguin, but to pick up a drake, Betty. I know sometimes you get confused between the 2.
That's true, I do.
It's a UK joke. Everyone here is too European to understand.
But it's going to be an uncontested objective. And yeah, it's that you can see how in high-level League, these small decisions having these cascading effects, right? And we talked a lot about that contest over the first Scuttle Crab and the consequences of that. And like the gank onto Kamiloo, like ultimately that was a positioning mistake from Kamiloo. Like he's just a little bit too far up. But it comes from the fact that his jungler is not in a position that even if he tried to cover, he would have been an item down. He would have been too weak to even fight. So it's these little things, and that overforce is really hurting Heretics right now as they find themselves about 1.9k gold behind. G2's bot lane continues to keep the pressure up. Right now, Heretics is very much relying on their ability to team fight, similar to what we saw in Game 1. But SkewMond doesn't actually have to give them one. If he continues to play around sides, force these skirmishes, work with Labrov, and I think that's the biggest thing, working with Labrov means that they can avoid those team fights and build enough a leader. At least when they do force the fights, they have too much of an advantage.
SkewMond's looking towards the mid lane. No flash on Flakked. The duck is a quackers. Shockwave brings him back. Flakked with a bullet time. Caps dodges it easily. G2 4-0 now as Labrov and Hansama continue to trade on Kamiloo and Stend. The lane assignments from Heretics, bringing their mid laner down towards this bot side because he's the only one that can really deal with the Kate. Stend down to 300 HP, Labrov the same, Tempered Fate. Hansama's going to net to put the trap down to catch out the Viktor. Taken out by G2. That was a really nice combination.
G2 are just punishing Heretics across the map now.
Oh
Stend.
my god, Stend.
Labrov has the kill, does he?
I don't think so. If he had Ignite, he definitely would, but the Gleaming Quill and the heal from Stend enough to keep him topped up. Sheo's on his way down here, but I don't really think he can do too much about this. For Heretics, like, the question is, where do you go from here? Your mid lane is 0-3, your AD carries 0-2. They're both 1,000 gold ahead of their enemy laners. Carlsen, the only one with that small blip of red at the bottom of the scoreboard, and he has had a good series, but all the weight can't rest on the shoulders of a Gragas.
I completely agree with you. And you just, at this, oh my god, he's able to sidestep.
That was such a nice leap strike forward from Broken Blade. Second time we've seen him do it this game.
The trade was very close between the two, but I don't expect much to happen off the back of it. As the resets come through, Heretics will get some plating for themselves. But this game is just very quickly, it's getting out of control for Heretics. They're really running out of options. Trinity Force now finished for Broken Blade, but the second item being worked on by both Caps and Hansama. Heretics need to slow the bleeding down, but Labrov burning the Ghost.
He's just running at him.
Yeah, he's trying to slow down that back so they can threaten that tower. Flakked overstaying for those plates, not coming to a reset. If they can delay his back as much as possible, they all but guarantee this tower, and then they can move into the enemy jungle and set up all this vision. Like, you can see it on your screen right now.
Tempered Fate up in 3 seconds time. Magical Journey out by Labrov. Flakked, no mana basically. 41 is all he's got. Can hit a double up or he can strut his stuff, but doesn't have the mana to use his ultimate or the Make It Rain, which can help in these sorts of situations. Stend, though, with the Oracles, clearing out a bit of that vision, and with Sheo waiting around the corner. The dive called off by G2. They still have pressure in mid. Next Drake a while away, but Rift held up in 5 seconds time.
I do think that if Hansama had just not altered Flakked, they could have secured that tower, but it looks like instead he's sending his sights on the mid lane. Kamiloo is already back out onto the map, though. He should be able to catch this wave. Decent damage will be thrown down onto this tower, but I guess the game plan is actually for this Rift Herald. They've instead chosen to prioritize this. They've moved their Caitlyn towards mid. They've got Caps on the bot side of the map. He does have his TP available as well. And G2 with good control.
It's actually just such a super nice sequence, right? You delay tempo in the bot lane, you push it up, you then move your AD carry and support to the mid lane. Caps comes down to bot because he's got his teleport, which means he can join a fight around the Rift Herald. You now have 4 people on the top side. You still have pressure putting down towards the bottom side with Caps. And because of that, Heretics delayed on their tempo, can't reset in time, can't come out and pressure it. G2 get the Rift Herald basically for free.
Very well executed. They hold on to the 5-0 scoreline. The gold lead's still 3k in their favor. You expect the Herald to be used mid to break open that tower, making it much easier to then play through the sides.
And with the Drake coming up in 40 seconds, you can use it at that point to apply the pressure and then go for your second dragon of the game. For now, though, SkewMond will go down towards his bottom side camps. His red is up within the next minute or so. He's still got the Razor Beaks and the Krugs. Expect him just to farm those up. Must be sitting close towards a next portion of an item at least. He's had that Sunder Sky for a while. Stend can't quite land the knock up on Labrov, who continues to show his fancy feet. Sheo with the win becomes lightning, can't find the engage either. Labrov is low though and has had to use that heal. So with him resting about the 800 health mark, perhaps it's a bit trickier here for G2 to contest this second Drake of the game.
Yeah, I mean, Labrov took a lot of damage. SkewMond prioritized clearing through his camps. They didn't really have much setup on the objective. They do have that one ward behind on blue for a potential TP.
I don't think they're going to fight it.
They're just going to give it up.
Rift Tower charge. Ah, that's actually really nice positioning from the Pantheon, because for a second I was worried. Stend was looking for the quickness there, but because he drove into, and this is where Motorsports comes back to it, Betty.
Right.
If you hit a wall at an angle,
yeah,
because fourth has to be maintained,
yeah,
you bounce off at a reciprocal angle.
Yeah.
So he came in at an angle and bounced up towards the top side of the lane.
True.
Like Verstappen in 2021 when Lewis Hamilton clipped him in Silverstone going into Cop's corner.
Classic.
And he hits into the wall.
Who wouldn't know that?
That's what SkewMond was doing there. And because Heretics set up to try and engage on him, Stend pops the quickness,
right,
doesn't find the engage because SkewMond's off towards that top side. Just like Hamilton was only penalized 10-second time penalty,
right,
and still managed to win that race.
Cool. That's a fun fact. Thank you for sharing.
I also don't know if it was all true.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it was Silverstone 2021, but I don't remember for sure.
There's a lot of Motorsports fans out there that will call you out.
Oh, that's fine. Oh, there's one in the audience.
Now, this sequence has given G2 3 towers. By putting the Herald in mid, Heretics actually responded with like 4 members to match, which then opened up for Caps to secure that bot tower, and then Broken Blade gets the assistance of SkewMond to secure that top tower. Heretics should be able to trade at the very least 1 tower back, but the gold lead just continues to extend, and G2 don't really need to force anything. Their next play will likely be the Rakan, as Heretics are now trying to force something.
Grand Starfall, it's a great bait mate from G2 as they pull Heretics forward with the Shockwave early. Cosmic Bind is going to land as well on Sheo. G2, though, do not have the numbers and don't have the damage quite yet.
But they don't want to fight. Look at mid lane. They've got Jax pushing in that wave. I thought he would actually set his sights on the mid tier 2, but instead he's chosen to get that reset off. They realize that Rakan is spawning in about 1:20. I imagine that they'll want to try and force this objective. And I will say that something we've been seeing from our teams in EU is that, okay, they're just
no, I'm sorry. I'm just going to say, what? Bard is done, flash away. If Bard tries to hit you with a Cosmic Binding here, it shouldn't connect on this wall. That's all I'm going to say.
I thought you were familiar with Motorsports. Coming at the right angle will mean that certain things happen, Medic. It's just, it's simple geometry.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
just
my mistake.
You should never play Vel'Koz. I don't think it's a champion.
No, I don't. I don't. I can't do the whole maths.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's excellent. You did say you're a doctor, not a mathematician.
Yeah,
so this is all making sense now.
So, Rakan in 40 seconds, Betty.
There is.
Kamiloo's going to get the push through top side. There's a ward behind him. Grand Starfall, half its cooldown left for SkewMond. Stend here shadowing his mid laner, denying vision as much as he can. Hits the plant, well done. 14 to 10 currently in favor of Heretics if you look at those petals.
Has got himself a death cap second. That is quite a powerful item to have second.
Yeah.
Typically, it's... People don't like it because you don't get as much value out of it, right? Because it gives you that bonus AP.
Usually death caps are reserved for cuties, though.
Right, obviously. I don't know how to follow that, so let's talk about Kamiloo, who's in a lot of danger right now.
It's been caught out. Labrov's got a magical journey away. There's the ace in the whole follow-up. I'm sorry, Betty. It's indie music references. You have to get them out when we can. Brokenblade's still trading onto Flakked. The quickness comes out, but he flashes away from it. Mercury Treads doing a lot of work. The blast cone in time for Flakked. Redemption onto Brokenblade will heal him up. And BB was so deep, pops the emote as he wanders his way away. Heretics just do not have the damage.
G2 is just so far ahead right now. The number of options the Heretics have.
Oh no, Flakked! He didn't know! Brokenblade takes him 7-0 now. G2 will get the outcome alongside the kill. And yeah, the options have, that well seems well and truly dry.
Certainly does. Yeah.
Yeah.
This game feels done and dusted. G2 is just kind of having fun with it now. Carlsen looking for a bit of a pick of his own, but I don't think they're going to get much.
Every time I've thought Labrov is about to die, he escapes either on 100 HP or on half HP. Temper Fate, good gravity well there from Kamiloo. Stops G2 from advancing any further. Next Drake up in 40 seconds. Would only be the second of the game for either of these teams, but for Heretics, maybe it's an opportunity to fight.
So the base comes through. Brokenblade sees Kamiloo isolated. He knows that he's not going to have any cavalry coming in soon. And the Caitlyn ultimate to just assist with the extra bit of damage means an easy kill. Flakked then chasing him, saying, I'm going to slow him for the rest of my team to come and help. They just actually didn't have enough damage to break through his resistance's caps.
Yeah, Kamiloo getting chased out here. Held the flash in the last fight, so flashes away from the shockwave this time, but that's Kamiloo half HP, does have the TP. No ultimate though, and no flash means can't really contest around this Drake. G2 should be able to secure that one pretty sharpish. Don't even need to invest actually many players to do so. Hans Summer still able to push out that midway. Brokenblade pushing out bot. Looks like G2 will cover him just to make sure. But it's only cover, not assistance.
And I will say, for this series as a whole, the things that have stood out to me is that Labrov and SkewMond are working well together.
Yeah.
One of the biggest criticisms that I think we've had of this team since its inception at the beginning of the year was that jungle support synergy, which I think was on full display in this series. And SkewMond just individually did have a fantastic series overall. In Game 1, he did a really good job of shutting down Sheo. In Game 2, his ganks have been super effective, and he's been making a lot of stuff happen, giving G2 the foundation for the lead that they're now using to absolutely crush Heretics.
While we saw the tier 2 going down on that bottom side, the Heretics were trying to do something on the other side of the map. Sheo was there, Stend were there, they burnt the quickness, they get the flash out of caps, but Flakked still does not have his own. TP coming into that mid lane tower from Kamiloo just to defend. G2 setting up in a bush once again. They all dodge, the wind becomes lightning. A spear through the heart of Stend. The follow-up from SkewMond, but Stend able to dodge away, and again the gravity field in a good position. SkewMond steals a wolf.
You'll notice, though, that G2's just wasting their time in a 4 versus 5, because look at the top lane. Caps is just continuing to solo push. 247 CS, 23 minutes. It's just something that we saw on Annie as well. He has the TP, ready to join the fight at a moment's notice, should something break out, but they're just... Usually, side lane Orianna is not how you play the champion. Usually, she's the one grouping and the Jax is in a side lane, but hey, he has TP and he wants to farm.
He's also got a 2-level lead over Kamiloo right now. Like, over 2 levels on this Orianna into the Viktor. Sheo here, I mean, you can try, but Caps, even though he doesn't have the flash, plays it defensively enough, backs away, at no risk really of dying. Quickness up for Stend in a couple of seconds time, Baron up in a minute. Maybe G2 overstep around it. Maybe that's Heretics' chance, because they do have 2 items on Kamiloo, on Flakked. Bloodthirster, Essence Reaver, Leandry's, Balefire Torch. If they are given a little bit of time in a fight, they will do a lot of damage.
Potentially.
They're just not often given a little bit of time in a fight.
I mean, so far they haven't even been given a fight, I don't think. Like,
yeah.
Isn't this similar to what we saw in Game 1, where it's just kind of pick after pick? It's a tough situation for Heretics to find themselves in. I was really optimistic about them after their series against Fnatic last week, but in this game, the engine that is Sheo has been shut down, and we haven't really felt his impact. He's trying to make his presence known now. Labrov connects a stun.
Tempered Fate onto Flakked, who doesn't have the flash, and Broken Blade's here. And once again, Broken Blade will take the kill. 3-0 now on the Jax, as you said. One of his best champions this year, only lost twice on it. SkewMond's going to sit in the redemption, heal himself up, ace in the hole, Crescent Guard will block it. Stend with the quickness down towards the bottom side, needs to battle dance to someone, but his teammates are retreating. Broken Blade keeping Carlsen at bay, down towards that mid lane. Labrov's still looking for more. You'd think at half HP he'd be a little bit tentative around this sort of position, but he's been very happy to stand in the enemy's faces so far this game. Carlsen full mana, Broken Blade has none, so no real risk of a counter-strike coming out.
G2 are just bullying Heretics at this point. They have the Baron live. I expect that to be the next objective that they try to force. They should feel so much stronger than their opposition right now. Any fight that should take place should be heavily in G2's, or should heavily go G2's way. The fact that the kills at 8-0 as well, very close to, I mean, okay, it's actually not even remotely close to a perfect game, considering there was a grub, a dragon, and a tower all going in favor of Heretics.
I think perfect games are just so impossible now in League of Legends.
I mean,
like, the enemy team has to be so much lower to not cross-map at any point.
I've seen some things that are closer than this.
Yeah, like one Drake or a Grub or a Tower, but I can't remember a perfect game happening this year.
It's a tough one.
They don't happen that often anyway. Flakked does have flash, but Broken Blade saves his for the last possible moment. Flakked flashes away, the barrier comes in as well, but he's whacked by a lamppost. Jax with 4-0 has that Seeker's arm guard in case he's ever in a spot of bother, but so far hasn't been perturbed at all.
0-5 for Flakked. He has been the target of G2's aggression, along with Kamiloo. Sheo trying to approach the Baron, caps, and Labrov will not allow it.
Stend is just going to die for that. He flashes away, redemption coming out, ace in the holes, blocked by Carlsen, who saved his support's life. Kamiloo the next target, and he wants to join his teammate at 0-5. Sheo, Stend, and Carlsen have not died, nor got a kill, nor got an assist this game. Only Kamiloo and Flakked have been involved in that KDA.
I mean, G2 have completely stomped Heretics. Like, I thought game one was relatively one-sided, but
yeah, this is the shellacking, man.
It's a complete one-sided affair. Heretics have been completely invisible in this game.
And credit to G2 for doing that. I think Heretics have made some big mistakes. Some of the positioning, getting caught out on timers that they should have anticipated, but G2 have punished them very well with the lead they've gained.
I think that given the MSI performance, a lot of eyes are going to be on G2 coming back into the regular season, and to make a statement game like this, I think will fill G2 fans with a lot of confidence. The Dragon should be secured here by Heretics. The Caps TP is going to come through. G2 want to force the fight.
Broken Blade goes in with a counter-strike, lands it onto 2. SkewMond there for the chase. Broken Blade still has that Seekers, remember. Knocked back, knocked up, still healthy enough to continue to go forward. He carries the shockwave onto the back line, and Kamiloo and Flakked fall again. Sheo joins them in the death chamber. Carlsen flashes the Tempered Fate, and SkewMond and Labrov are on a magical journey to follow him down. The rest of G2 are pushing in their base, only Stend there to defend, and I don't think we can expect him to be able to do so. Broken Blade will chip him away. Carlsen actually TPing back to the base means there are 2 defenders here, but their base is under siege, and they don't have trebuchets to try and take out the enemy forces.
They're actually going to choose to go back to base out of fear of the respawns coming through.
Out of fear of one of them dying in this game.
That's true.
There's 100% bets happening on stage right now.
There certainly are. And it's Broken Blade in a 1 versus 5 initiating this fight. The ultimate providing with enough resistances. The shockwave doesn't come through just yet. It's now when it connects onto the 2 carries in the back line. They get absolutely melted.
Bomber.
Yeah, bomber indeed.
It's the anti-bomber when you put the Jax on towards your backline.
I mean, they still went bomber.
That's true. I mean? They did go bomber.
If you say bomber, it's a bomber.
Okay, sure. I do not know the ways of the bomber as well as you do, Vedi, I'm afraid. Stend here looking for a flank position, just trying to find some semblance of a way back into the game. We'll land the quickness, we'll land the knockup, and there won't be any follow-up damage as Carlsen's defending in mid. Tempered Fate's gonna hit, and the Shockwave's gonna follow suit. Doesn't even need to use it. Instead, they go for Stend, who'll fall. Carlsen getting chased out by Broken Blade, who's on the back line once again. Counter-strike forward. Grand Starfall for the follow-up. It's a double for Caps. Not quite a triple as it's stolen by Labrov. Summer gets the fourth, and Carlsen stands and watches as G2 crack through the base, take everything off the map apart from the bot lane inhibitor and inhibitor tower. 17-0 in under 30 minutes. This series, sub 1 hour, and G2 have shown they are not to be discounted.
An impressive performance from G2. The way that they punished those small mistakes from Heretics and snowballed the game effectively. But a 17 kill to 0 scoreline. You don't see that very often. And you can definitely tell that they were relentless with their aggression.
They really are. You can vote one of those G2 players in their player of the series. Vote Broken Blade, SkewMond, or Summer are your 3 options in that Kia player of the series. I think SkewMond, partly because of how much better he looked than he has looked recently, partly because of the synergy with Labrov. Summer had a great Jinx game, had a good Caitlyn game, did what he needed to do. I don't think Broken Blade's game 1 really impacted the game. Like,
that's fair,
should we put him on? Like, should we vote for him when he had that game 1?
But yeah, I think it was a super impressive series overall from SkewMond, and G2 looking scary after MSI. The break definitely doing them some favors. Heretics, of course, they're not down and out just yet. While they have played the 2 strongest teams in the group, in theory, they're now going up against the 2 easiest teams in the group. And so for their shot at playoffs, they need to win more than the last place team. So they can have that cross-group best of 5 and have that opportunity to qualify for playoffs. So losing to G2 and Fnatic does not discount you completely. It's just a rough start.
BDS and SK left to play for Heretics. So maybe they should be able to get that 3rd, 4th, depending on how the rest of the results go. We're going to hand it over to Law, who is standing by with our player of the series, although we don't know what the audience has voted, SkewMond.